गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट. गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है. Today we are looking at the Great Reset, right? All of a sudden, at times you feel as if everything is going one direction. Overnight, everything goes the other direction, right? I was actually preparing yesterday as to how to see where India-US relations will go ahead and how we have to tackle USA and in an adversarial situation. Today I'm talking about the Great Reset. Okay. I hope you like my cartoon. Just for liking my cartoon, give me a thumbs up. If this is something which I've designed. And since I'm saying please like this video in advance because I'm sure you'll find it interesting. Also subscribe to Ghana Short and join in as a member. Okay, let's go. Very interesting. I put together some. I liked my own presentation when I finished making it. So I'd like you to also have a look, give your views, a lot of discussion. I'm open to it. Okay, here we go. Okay, we started the whole show with this particular tweet of Donald Trump. Looks like we've lost India and Russia to the deepest, darkest China. May they have a long and prosperous future together. So what does this tell you actually? What does this tweet tell you? This tweet tells you something, right? Which is we have to understand. In Donald Trump's strategic thinking, he wants India on his side, he wants Russia on his side, and he wants China on the other side. That is now apparent. Is that so? Or he's aiming in another way? If I get the G2, I'll dump these two. Both the options are there. But my own assessment is this. What has come out today? It came out yesterday. Is this. And when you talk of deepest, darkest China, you know where USA is aiming. I'll not say USA is aiming, I'll say Trump is aiming. Then, of course, he came with this. Then he came with this conference and what he said, and I'll just play it. And okay, now if you can hear the video in this, I'm okay. If you can't hear the video, tell me, because then I'll have to do something and I need an instant feedback, at least a thumbs up or someone. If you hear the video, if you don't hear the video, also let me know. I'll play it from some other way.
And are you ready to reset relations with India?
I always will. I'll always be friends with Modi. He's great. Prime Minister, he's great. I'll always be friends, but I just don't like what he's doing at this particular moment. But India and the United States have a special relationship. There's nothing to worry about.
So he said India and USA have a special relationship and nothing to worry about. And he likes Modi. So, he's put out that olive branch, and immediately, of course, our Prime Minister put this out, deeply appreciate and fully reciprocate President Trump's sentiments and positive assessment of our ties. India and US have a very positive and forward-looking, comprehensive and global strategic partnership. So he reiterated it. Great. Let's first analyze why this happened, because that's important. The last time I said there were a whole lot of people who said, look, India-US ties are important for many reasons, and X, Y, Z, and all that. I showed you a lot of videos and all. But I think, there's been a lot of internal pressure on Mr. Trump. And that seems to have got him. The normal advisors telling Mr. Trump, okay, India is important and all, doesn't help. But when it comes through TV channels, the whole people are saying, and when it comes to certain places where, the feedback is public, then it hits hard. And one place which I felt was in this Bill Maher show. I mean, Bill Maher show, Blue Georgia. Yeah, I mean, for those of you who don't know, Bill Maher is someone who's a political critic, a comic political critic. He's one of the best I've seen. And he's spoken today of India-US relationships. Bit of a left of the center, liberal, but very good. And today, India relationship figured in his show. So here what he says, very, very, very nicely put across. I thought this was the best feedback which Trump would have got. And that, in my way, there would be other shows, I don't know, would have tickled him to say, look, let's reverse course. Yeah, look at this.
He turned India. India was supposed to be the counterweight to China. China is not our friend. Okay.
For sure.
But there's only two countries with 1 billion plus people. And the other one was India. And they were on our side. And suddenly we've got 50. He just turned around. I remember him holding hands with Modi.
Yeah.
Holding hands.
Right.
Well, that's G holding hands with Modi. Yeah, now Modi's holding hands with the other guy.
But this is the question we've asked his trade people who are in there now, including Peter Navarro, that you know, Steve, which is they're sanctioning India because of their buying and importing Russian oil. China's doing way more than that, and they have not been tariffed for bringing in Russian oil, and they're bringing in way more than India is. And I think that is why Modi and the Indians have had such a falling out with the White House over that discrepancy. They're being punished for something that someone else is also doing who's not being punished for that.
There's no question China is the new evil empire. There's no question about it. I think Trump's strategy is to try to unify the world against China and to isolate them.
But he's not. He's doing the opposite. He's uniting them against us.
So, see that this is a public show and it's very widely watched by everyone, right? And he is pretty critical. Bill Maher is pretty critical about many people. Now, the interesting part is, he was critical of Trump also. Trump, when he got elected as a president, called him for lunch. And then he spoke very well about Trump. I mean, I was surprised. He's normally not so well. I mean, he doesn't give good things about, any public personality in his show. But he spoke well about Trump. And, he spoke something else. He spoke about Harvard. Now, Harvard, if you know, in America, isn't a lot of discussion. Left liberal, right liberal, unka kahani hai. But listen to what Bill Maher said. He supported Trump in that, partially. So have a look at that. Then you will get the drift of how this could have hit Trump.
He turned India. India was supposed to be. He turned.
Right. This is the one. Have a look at this.
It's not like he didn't have a point about what colleges have become. Am I wrong about that? I read some study that said only 2% of people, the professors at Harvard, called themselves conservative. That's not, for people who are always talking about how great diversity is, there's not a lot of diversity of opinion. Isn't that a problem at elite universities? It's a little incestuous.
So he's spoken, for Trump and about his diversity and things like that. And when this man talks of the way, and we're driving India away, it hits. It's a public show. You see, when people in the showbiz, in public, stand-up comedians, critics, politicians, they speak, it hits. When people like me speak, no one bothers. I mean, let's be very frank. And this is a show which is one of the top ones there, so it would have hit him. Okay, it's not that. Look at this. This is, of course, before this whole reset business and before Trump came out with that thing. But the way he's enunciated it, and this has been echoed virtually by almost all channels, whether they're Maga or Paga or whoever it is. So let's see what this man says.
For my money, if the Chinese, the Russians, and the Indians get together in any form of alliance that is economic and around the edges military, there's no way that the Americans can compete in the 21st century.
So it says if the Russians, Indians, and Chinese get together, there is no way America can compete in the 21st century. And this is one thing which everyone has started saying in America.
We might as well go home. The entire theme of American history in terms of diplomacy has been to avoid the combination of foreign great powers such that we would not be able to confront them economically or militarily. That is why we got involved in the two world wars. That is why we were cautious in Vietnam. And I'm afraid to say that if there's one takeaway from this, it's that China could not have dreamt of a better moment, both in terms of the visual and in terms of US trade policy.
So if every day, day in and day out, in your leading news channels, except your own, even Fox came out with all this, plus people who are critics, acclaimed political critics with a large following, start talking the same language. Bill Maher spoke of it in his own way. This man spoke of it in his own way. It gives a uniformity. There's a synergy going through. And that has hit Trump. I mean, I'm saying it simplistically, he would have got from many more people and panic buttons. Okay. Very clearly, there's panic buttons on this. Right. Now, just to give you a thing, this picture, what is it? This is, okay, I'll make it bigger. Have a look. What is this picture? It's the Indian Army and the US Army at Alaska kicking off their exercises. This was 2 days back. Right? They already started. So, this, despite all this nonsense which was happening, I think there was some sensible guy somewhere, both on their side and our side. They said, let's keep this emotion away from the reality. And they've sent these people. Okay, right. Let's go further. Now, this is a Middle East expert. Okay, this is a Middle East expert. He's from West Asia. Now, he gives a neutral angle about this whole story. I'll make it big, and you'll have to be you'll have to strain because the audio in this isn't very good. But he makes a lot of sense.
His statement that India is not a small country, India is an emerging power and a force to reckon with, and therefore United States cannot afford to use or to lose India, and they should do the damage control to bring back his statement that India is not a small country.
So he is very clear. He says India is not a small country and USA should do the damage control. Okay, let's listen ahead.
States for the last 3 decades are trying to improve or normalize the relation with India. So its top is a strategic relation. And suddenly we find President Trump declaring this much of tariff on India and trying to bully India. And I think it is backfired on him. And it is admission is by itself is a clear indication that he has taken the wrong step. There is a talk already, backstage talk between India and the United States. Everybody knows that there are some trade talks between the two countries. And look, India cannot afford to lose the United States, nor the United States cannot afford to use it. They are strategic partners.
So that again, you see, this is a two-way thing. As much as US can't afford to lose India, even we can't afford to lose India. We are strategic partners. Also, let me tell you, I mean, this is a new layer which has come out. Many people in the Middle East want this strategic partnership to go through. Many people in the Europe want the strategic partnership to go through. The IMEC, it is IMEC, whatever you call it. It is India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. That's the way it is coming out. Ursula von der Leyen wants to speak to, in fact, spoke to our Prime Minister about this. Push the corridor through. They are desperate. ओके ये ऑयल शॉयल तो यहीं से मिलेगा उनको और कहां से मिलेगा वही रशिया से ही आएगा Same, the story doesn't change because of those fools who've spoken. Okay, so we'll see how we need USA as much as USA needs us. Why I'm telling you this is there are a lot of guys who feel that I'm pro USA. Please let me clarify. I'm not pro USA. I think we should get this idea straight. India chose to have a strategic partnership with USA 25 years back when I was just a little colonel, and has grown that partnership. I mean, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who actually don't know, 25 years back, 30 years back, our dependence on Russia was much more. And we brought it down. We brought down our arms dependency across all countries so that we are not dependent on any one country. Okay. And we've had, that's the first part. So to that extent, we need to continue that. If tomorrow you shut out USA, you have to go up with someone else. That's not great. That's the first part. And the second part is part of the strategic thing. Why did you go into the strategic partnership? You knew very well that you can't handle China fully in all fields. Yeah, militarily he can do nothing. There's no doubt about that. But in the growth of a country, it's not only military. And those of us who think, oh, no, no, abhi China, you see, there's a feeling in India and many people, USA is the biggest evil, usko maar do, kaat do, paat do. It doesn't work that way. You have to deal, who's the bigger devil, who's the lesser devil. We have to be clear. Who's got capability, who doesn't have capability. What is the extent to which you can, expand your relationship with Russia? It's at peak. And Russia, if this war ends, their economy will be under severe strain. So we should live in a land where we think we are got everything. We are growing, we are strong, but there's lot more. Believe you me, I've gone and seen a lot of armies. I've seen a lot of places. We are very strong, but we are not that strong. Okay? We can get derailed. We can get derailed. If we get into rhetoric, you need a balanced head. You need a balanced head to navigate through difficult times. And this is a difficult time. Change of this nature is always difficult. Okay, let's go ahead with what this man has to say.
They need each other in the trade, in security arrangement. And I think India is playing a major role also in the Asia Pacific, especially with the Quad, where India is also a member. So United States knows that they are backing a lot in India position and India status. And anything the United States wanted to form, even a new world order, United States cannot afford a new chapter without India. India is balancing its act.
So he says, look, even if a new world order has to come, it can't happen without India. All this is coming from the Middle East, West Asia. And he, of course, says India has to balance its act, all that. Let's listen.
India have taken an equidistance among all the stakeholders, even among the different factions parties. In India have realized for years, we know, that have not been part of any bloc against another country. So they are equally understood the game plan of the geopolitical changes. Having said that, I would say that India also understand that its own position at the South-South leaders has also to play a major role, whether it is in the SCO, which we have seen already in the Tianjin and Shanghai organization meeting, or whether it is in the G20 when India was taking the lead, or even in the BRICS. So I think the only country in the world that India is trusting is Russia. And that has been already many times declared by Indian officials in the South Bloc, that Russia is the most faithful friends who stood with India throughout history. That is for sure. So I think giving the India concession, it's also a message from Moscow to New Delhi that we are the only faithful partner for you. So I think they will continue to strengthen their relation. India will continue to import the oil. And we have seen the recent development also, some Indian company canceling some contracts from the US companies. And getting more contracts from Russia. India look for the profit. Everybody want the profit. Nobody can. You need to ease the economic pressure on the people. And if you bring it in a cheaper rate, why not? It is good for the Indian public. And I think there's a big support for the Indian government on those regards. So there is any hidden statement. It is a clear indication. I think he speaks his heart out. He understands, though he bully many nations. The problem with President Trump, he does not understand the history of India. The problem with him when he was talking about how the Modi and we were all the shouting in these last elections, we know that there is an strong Indian diaspora in the United States, and Indian students who go to the United States also play a major role. So I don't think he can deny. The only problem with him that he was putting the tariff on the friends and on the enemy, but you can't equate both sides at the same time. I think for this reason, I feel that the United States has to reach to sort of a compromise with India. And the coming month, we will see, maybe after October, we will feel that Indian position may be softened a bit, and also the American as well.
So he says maybe after October, we'll see things softening and all. So there's a reset on cuts, and he's right, this gentleman. I've gotten a neutral voice. He's right. We need India. We need USA as much as they need us. We have our equities with them. They have their equities with us. The reset is going to be slow, and we'll talk of it a little later because that's the more interesting part. This is just someone else's views. I'll give you my views a little later. Yeah.
India doesn't yet want to open their market.
So this is the commercial part of America which is speaking, Lutnick. The way they're thinking. No, this fellow is only thinking commercial. He is not इसका level थोड़ा ना दिमाग का थोड़ा low है. He's very low on IQ or strategic quotient. The strategic quotient is 0. And you'll find such guys a lot in America. उसने ऊपर वाले ने बोल दिया तो बस वही है बेवकूफ आदमी. But he's spoken, and he's spoken hell of a lot, and it has been taken as God's gospel. And of course, all this nonsense came out before Trump said what he said. After that, people have stopped speaking. Yeah, let's hear.
Stop buying Russian oil, right? And stop being a part of BRICS, right? They're the vowel between Russia and China. If that's who you want to be, go be it. But either support the dollar, support the United States of America, support your biggest client, who's the American consumer, or I guess you're going to pay a 50% tariff, and let's see how long this lasts.
So he's got no clue about India. Let's see how long this lasts. You pay 50% tariff. He doesn't know. He doesn't know that India showed 2 fingers to him in 1971. When at that time, USA was a superpower and India was no power. 71. Those of you who don't know. This fellow won't know only. So he doesn't know. So there's a lot of ignorance flowing in. There's a lot of myopic thinking. Oh, I am the greatest. Bhaiya, dusra bhi hai. He can also play the game. And when he starts playing the game, you will have difficulty. This fellow doesn't have that capability to think beyond this thing. Okay? And same chap, let's see what he says. He starts equating Canada with India. It just shows in this clip, it just shows how shallow their thinking is.
Any type of deal or backing down to a lower rate with India?
I would expect, like you saw it in Canada, right? The Carney got elected with this term elbows up, meaning let's fight with America. They put on retaliatory tariffs. They were all bravado. And what happened? Their GDP negative 1.6%, unemployment rocketing towards 8%. And what did Carney just do? He just finally dropped his retaliatory tariffs. So I think what happens is it's all bravado because you think it feels good to fight with the biggest client in the world. But eventually, your businesses are going to say, you've got to stop this and go make your deal with America. So I think, yes, in a month or 2 months, I think India is going to be at the table and they're going to say they're sorry and they're going to try to make a deal with Donald Trump. And it will be on Donald Trump's desk how he wants to deal with Modi. And we leave that to him. That's why he's the president.
Speaking of making a deal.
So he feels that we'll go and tell him sorry. Well, he's going to be in for a surprise. Okay, he's going to be in for a surprise. India will not go and say sorry. There's no deal or no deal, no sorry. And he's equated us with Canada. He doesn't know. Canada might grow at 1% or minus 1%. Here is the fastest growing economy which can't be stopped. This fellow's father-in-law also can't stop. He doesn't know. See, one of the things which I found is there's a lot of ignorance coming from America. Myopic ignorance. Right? And of course, we have to expect that they will speak for their country like I'm speaking for my country. But I don't see that good logic coming from such idiots. I call him an idiot. He's their commerce minister. Okay. But his logic is poor. Okay. Now here is this analysis is pretty clear. Right? Have a look at this also.
It's the 5th of September. Remember, that's when he predicted that India would come back and say it's sorry, knowing that this administration doesn't always see a lot of sunlight, if any, between economic matters, trade, and matters of war and peace.
So he is making the difference. He says, look, this administration is only looking at trade and economy. There is something beyond that. He is talking of a strategic sphere. He is bringing that in. And that's why I picked this clip up. Yeah.
Which brings us back to this truth post. We've lost India and Russia to deepest, darkest China. And Nick Wadhams is with us now, runs our national security coverage here in Washington. Nick, it's great to have you as always. What does he mean by this? If only the economic ties that they're now exercising.
I have been trying to parse that social media post for quite some time this morning. I mean, it's extraordinary because for a long time, the goal of the United States has been essentially to wean India away from Russia and widen fissures that it has with China. There's some tension there. But the president essentially seems to be admitting defeat in that social media post. So the question to me is, what is their strategy now? I mean, Howard Lutnick there, really fascinating comments suggesting that the U.S. is still very much in the game and they want to increase the economic pain on India and have it come back to the table. But, Prime Minister Modi has shown he is not really that interested in playing that game and takes a lot of umbrage at the idea that the U.S. is going to squeeze him and that's just going to lead him scurrying back. So you have the economic issue there, but you also have this much bigger geopolitical issue where India says, listen, we don't want to be pushed around. Right now, all signs are toward India, China, Russia getting much closer together. We just have to see.
That includes military hardware as well as oil?
Well, India has long been a client of Russia's for military hardware. And in fact, this was a big priority for the Trump administration in the first term, and also the Biden administration, and also the Trump administration in the second term. I mean, early on when he met Modi, there was talk that maybe the U.S. would sell F-35s to India. But that certainly seems to be off the table right now. I mean, so it's very difficult to know what's actually going on here, but suffice to say, this thing is not headed the direction that the president wants it to be going in.
It doesn't feel like it. Nick, while you're here, I want to ask you about what's going
on. So, Bloomberg, that's a reputed this thing. He's laid it out very clearly. That all these fellows are looking at the economic and trade aspect of it. There's a strategic and geopolitical issue. Now that's overriding. And obviously Trump is reacting. Okay. Yeah.
It's the fifth.
But what's the state of, before we go ahead and discuss other things, we need to have a pulse on USA. What's the internal state of USA? Yesterday, the job data came. Look at this. Look at this here. Ever since Trump has taken over in Jan 25, see the jobs, they just plummeted. And this is from 21 onwards. Mind you, this is his second term, first term, sorry, 21. Okay, it's just gone. So there's an effect of that also. The economy is not doing well. Their bond markets are down. The bond yields are down. The 10-year and the I think the 2-year bonds are down. There is a little panic there, incidentally. There's a little panic in the people. All rates are high. So now there are a lot of combinations which are being put out on tariffs and non-tariff barriers on India. We'll discuss that tomorrow also. Right? Amongst all this, their own guy, this guy is Stephen Miller. I think he's to do something with, he's one of the right-hand man of Trump. He's lying, outright lying. You see how, and they're resorted to outright lying to paint an alternate reality about their own economy. Have a look at this.
The president has presided over the most extraordinary economic turnaround in American history. During the Biden administration, we saw zero net job gains for American workers in 4 years, which is an economic depression for American workers. It's an actual depression. Since President Trump has came into office, 100% of job gains have gone to American workers, as millions of foreign workers who are here illegally have left the country.
So he says there's an economic turnaround. There's an economic turnaround now. It's gone down the other side. And they're lying. So, but they can lie to everyone, but they know the own truth. There must be internal realization. After all, there's a political, Trump is a political entity. If tomorrow, and he's also misused or whatever, he's used, misused, whatever you call it, his army and National Guard for internal security duties, which is not a tradition in America. There's a lot of debate on that. People don't like it. In fact, there's a Bill Maher show on that. If you see that, you hit something else. Okay. Now the whole story is that there are internal problems in USA, and that is putting pressure that externally you have to mend your fences with people who matter. Okay. Then, of course, there's this woman, Laura Loomer, who's come out and said, blacklist all US IT companies which operate ex-India. And there's a roughneck lot who will say, no more Indian call centers and outsourcing, all that. There are huge implications for USA if that happens. Tomorrow USA will close up if ours are blacklisted. But I'll talk of that tomorrow morning with Sandeep Unithan. Today morning we were to speak with Sandeep Unithan Saturday. I couldn't because of other things. So tomorrow morning we'll speak about what will be the effect of a IT blacklisting of India. We'll talk of it. There are problems both ways, but what will happen to USA when such fools speak? So nothing of this kind will happen, but we'll discuss it. We should understand. Now, there are two articles which I'm going to discuss. We'll spend 10 minutes each on that. This is by Farid Zakaria. Very interesting article. Yesterday in the Washington Post. Okay. He says pivotal countries are moving away from the US and towards China. See, one good thing or bad, whatever you call it, one thing which comes out very clearly is everyone in America says, look, we are against China. Okay. Unless we feel we are with China, we should be with them. I mean, it's a very fundamental logic. China is not your friend. America is not your enemy. That fundamental thing which I've been always saying, China is not your friend, America is not your enemy. We should be very clear about it. You might have problems with America. We can resolve them. Well, trust gone, this, that, we can discuss that. That I'll discuss. It's not as if I'm not this thing. But with China, what do you do? Are the problems solvable with China? So, okay, let's talk of this article, which is, instead of just talking what I just think, I'd like to give a intellectual connotation to what I'm speaking. What does he say importantly? He says Brazil, India, and South Africa would generally resist the Russian and Chinese effort to turn the organization, which organization he's speaking about in this, BRICS, into an anti-American grouping. It's a very important thing he's written. For decades, Washington has been building ties with these three countries, each a leader in its region. Yeah, Brazil in South America, South Africa and Africa, India and Asia. To ensure that as they grew in size and stature, they would be inclined towards the United States. So while they don't like the BRICS, these three countries, Brazil, Russia, Brazil, India, and South Africa, lean towards the West. But he says, he's written, Farid Zakaria, but Trump has treated these pivotal states to some of his most vicious rhetoric and aggressive policies. He unleashed the highest tariff rate in the world against India. He punished Brazil with equally high tariffs and levied sanctions and visa bans against Brazilian officials, against their Supreme Court Chief Justice. South Africa faces 30% tariffs, a total cutoff of foreign aid, and potential sanctions against government officials. This is where he says, look, you're going hard against people who are supposed to be your allies, and you're letting those free chaps go free. What nonsense is this? Now, when these things start coming in their dailies, then there is some problem. And then he says American policy these days is a collection of random slights, insults, and ideological obsessions of one man. Now they're all showing their finger towards Trump. In general, Trump likes smaller countries he can bully or ideological soulmates who cozy up to him. He doesn't enjoy dealing with large, messy democracies with their own internal dynamics, pride, and nationalism. He doesn't understand. Thus, America under Trump has befriended a strange collection of strongmen in El Salvador, Hungary, Pakistan, and Gulf monarchies. It is at odds with democracies of India, Brazil, South Africa, Mexico, Canada, and most of Europe. Does this make any sense? It doesn't. We all know that. And that is why this flip taco is happening. Okay, and then of course he's spoken of this great picture with Putin, Xi Jinping, and Kim Jong-un leading the pack. He says if all these fellows get beholden to China, how can you be without India, South Africa, and Brazil? And you are going at hammer and tongs with them. So some strategic sense is getting in. So this transactionality of economics and commerce might get a little watered down. Okay, we'll come to that. We'll see. And he says, watching this week's antics, an incensed Trump grumbled on social media that China, Russia, and North Korea were conspiring against the United States. But if you consider the effects of his policies, it might be more accurate to wonder why the president himself sometimes seems to be undermining US interests and values over these past months. He says, "Tumhi to kar rahe ho yaar. You're the guy who is doing all this nonsense. You're helping them and going against others." So there is a huge upsurge, and naturally that is leading to a reset. Okay, and then of course this great thing in New York Times which has come. Trump thought he was leading on trade, no one is following. This article is very nice. He says, "Yeah, this fellow set off to do everything. पीछे मुड़ के देखा कोई follower नहीं है. No one is following him. Everyone is at this point of saying yes. They want to make him happy and nothing. They'll not deliver on anything. Oh, things like that. So reality. Now, this is a very interesting thing. There's a group which says it's time we get into an alliance with India. And they make a strong case. I would suggest all of you to read this article in Foreign Affairs. Okay? And I'll discuss some aspects of it. Maybe some other day I'll do one on this on loan and discuss whether an alliance with America is feasible or not. I've read this article about 3-4 times. I'm not convinced about an alliance with America. Only on one reason. The litmus test of any relationship with USA as an ally depends on trust. And that trust has been broken. So at this point of time, today, our strategic partnership doesn't exist. I am making this statement. It is only a relationship which exists. And this relationship can't be broken. It can't be broken. So having said that it can't be broken, we have to go through this relationship. I must also examine whether there's an alliance feasible. Because a situation like this throws up new ideas. Just as a new idea is there that, okay, can we demarcate the border with China? If you can demarcate the border with China, with some give and take, then the whole thing changes. Similarly, if you get into alliance with USA, the whole thing changes. Okay, but what is the thinking of an alliance is something which you should think of. That's what I'm going to do. And this is written by Jake Sullivan and Kurt Campbell. Jake Sullivan was the previous NSA. And Kurt Campbell was the officer in charge of the undersecretary in charge or deputy secretary, whatever. Number 2 or number 1 in the Indo-Pacific area. So what does he says? They've explained beautifully. He says why India has emerged over the last generation as one of United States' most important global partners. That analysis they've given. And how to fortify this relationship between India and US has been one of the brightest spots of bipartisan support in a divided Washington. Whether it's Republican or very clear. This has been upended by Trump. Okay. And this came just 2 days, 3 days back. And I was impressed by the postulation. I might not agree with it, but the logic impresses me. Then they say, okay, this is the world's largest democracy. There's an opportunity in economic and technological dynamism which exists in this country. It's slowly getting into a global leadership role. And India desires a free and open Indo-Pacific. And that has led to a strategic alignment with USA. And that both these have effectively disincentivized reckless Chinese adventurism, which is a fact. Go back 2-3 years back, they started saying, oh, our aircraft carriers will come here. Our submarines will come here. You can't stop us. They're so aggressive in the Indian Ocean. Not anymore. Why has that happened? That has happened because we started doing exercises with USA. Put them on the back foot. Other reasons are there, but important. And most important, which I put in red, it says this common purpose must not be taken for granted. Unfortunately, I think Trump and company took this for granted. And to some extent, we also took it for granted. You see, you don't know the value of a relationship till you break it. And that's the pang of what we are suffering between India and USA. Both of us took our relationship for granted. Okay. Then, of course, he says the relationship is vulnerable to misunderstandings, missteps, missed opportunities because of distrust and misaligned expectations. 100% right. We've never trusted them, they've never trusted us. Our thinking is something else, their thinking is something else. In any issue, you look at Bangladesh. We didn't want Sheikh Hasina to go, they toppled her. Now, if only we were allowed to handle Sheikh Hasina, the same results we could have achieved because we have common interests in Myanmar. Okay. And then, of course, they make a very important point. India-US ties do not fit into boxes which the US has historically used to define its bilateral relationships. The US has had alliances, and those alliances are largely defense based. They are not strategic in nature. The alliance hai with Japan, the alliance is mutual defense. Okay, or with Turkey, defense. It's all based on NATO, Shato, defense, all that. In NATO is a defensive alignment, or rather based on defense. But with India, it is a strategic alliance, a strategic partnership. So they have not understood this. Our expectations are different, their expectations are different in this partnership. That is why this gafla. Why alliance means formal treaty commitments which have, which they have built on mutual defense guarantees. But that doesn't suit us at all. That's what it says. USA has overemphasized on collective self-defense. US-India relationship is not based on security guarantee. It is much higher. Because we don't need that kind of security which other countries need from USA for defense and security. We can manage. We can manage China even today without USA. We might have some difficulty, but that's okay, we'll manage. We managed 2020 crisis without USA. USA did help us, but not the way they thought they wanted to help us. So we have that capability. So any relationship with USA, whether it's a relationship, a partnership, or an alliance, has to be based on certain other things. You're going to be the third largest economy. You're going to have many things. And that is what these people emphasize on, which is very good thinking. I might not be agree with most of it. Now, they also have put two scenarios. I won't say two scenarios, two ways of looking at it. He says if this whole story continues, US could end up driving India directly into the arms of its adversaries, which is happening. Or in that event, India could also get squeezed. Because if China doesn't accommodate us and you have a problem with USA, you are in a problem. That's a reality. We have to understand this reality also. It's not by saying, oh, hum sab tik tak hai. Nahi hai bhai. We are not that tik tak. We are tik tak. But if you want to go to the next level, if you are happy with what you are, it doesn't matter. In 1971, we were happy with what we were. We said, yeah, our idea was to do whatever we had to do with Pakistan and keep USA out and throw Coca-Cola out. Happy. But today it's different. Our aspirations have changed. Our status as a world power has changed. You can't get yourself into a position today where you're going to get squeezed on both sides. Or you make room to handle both. That's the ideal. But can you do that fully? You might not choose one over the other. You might still be with your strategic autonomy, deal one. But definitely you will have to lean towards one little more than the other. You don't have a choice. And like I said before, Russia gives you limited opportunities because Russian economy is small. You can't, it doesn't give you the depth. Okay. There should be a strategic alliance based on between USA and India based on a series of mutual commitments regarding technology, defense, supply chains, intelligence, and global problem solving. It's not based on a mutual defense pact, which is a bigger thing. So, what does this put you? This puts you squarely earlier. One thing which has happened in this whole story, till now, the global balance was between USA, Russia, and China. Now, irrevocably, India has come in. I keep showing that, no, where our four leaders are pulling at the corner of the globe. That's a reality. Earlier, I had to show a cartoon to convince people कि ये होने वाला है, अभी तो हो गया. So whatever I have said is really right. I mean, that's one thing I must tell all of you, that you want to have something which is over the hill, understand what's happening over the hill, come to Ganashot. And he's spoken of 5 pillars to enhance mutual security, prosperity, and values. So this is going into a different level. And there are a lot of connects on this score already. The base for this is great. Unfortunately, if you want to go towards China, the base for that is 0. And if you think we'll go on our own to some great level, let's be very clear, there are limitations. Everyone should know where he is standing. Okay. Okay, I'll not go into the details, I'll just think. So they are looking at a 10-year action plan in technologies that will define the future. AI, biotech, quantum, all this. Let's have joint R&D, joint everything. Okay, so joint investment, because they have the basics, but to develop that they need the manpower, they need the workforce. That's there. And there's already a thing for this because most of the big tech giants of USA have their R&D centers here. Their global capability centers are here, and they're closing them in China. Could that be a backbone for this? Enhanced economic cooperation, including a bilateral trade pact, including supply chains and all that. I mean, again, a very relevant example which they give in this is America depends on India for drugs. India depends on China for API. Invariably, China is holding America at ransom through India, and India also. So China is actually holding both our tails. Why should they do it? So if you have a very clear understanding with America, and if America helps you with investment to FDI, to set up factories in India for API, or for that matter, even in USA, how am I bothered? Why not with our expertise? So these are the things they're trying to put across. Then, of course, defense cooperation, where you're looking at co-development, co-production, joint logistics, and interoperability, for which already you have signed certain agreements. This Becca, Lemova, all these are part of that. Then he talks of intelligence cooperation. Definitely. So all these are also there. And then you have the last pillar, which is commitment to global problem solving. Okay. A large part of it at this point of thing is utopian. But there is a thought process. And we should look for good thought processes. I mean, many of these are contentious. I also don't agree with the fine print of this. I'm talking of the big ones. One of these days, I'll do it in the morning. But then we have another reality. We have to look at the India-USA relationship, India-Russia relationship, India-Pak hyphenation, okay, India-China equation, and of course our neighborhood. Those equations should be clear to us. If we even have to dream of anything to do with USA on these lines. And then the fundamental thing, trust. Look, the way that trust is at this point of time, this is a dream. This will not happen. Let's be very clear. First, we have to resume our relationship. And I don't see all this happening with Trump around. Trump has mistreated his allies. So tomorrow he might do the same thing again. So trust nahi hai na. That's the important point. Okay, there's an interesting graph I got today. You must have a look at it. Because, just to, why I got this graph is to put some sense into our thinking. Like everyone says, oh, hum sab kuch kar lenge. A lot of people are saying, oh, General Shankar leans towards USA. I don't lean towards USA, but I realize the reality in which we are. This graph which is there, what is this graph about? This is the US direct investment abroad and the number of people they employ abroad. In recent, this is where India was, this red line. This has grown up. Okay. This is green one is United Kingdom. It's gone down. This blue one is South Korea. Right? So, the FDI from USA has grown in India. And along with it, the number of people employed here. If tomorrow we have a great rupture in relations between India and USA, 1.9 million people will be jobless. Understand, 1.9 million means 19 lakhs people won't have jobs. So where will your economy go? Where will your economy go? You don't have the capability of making even one Google, one X, nothing. That even our Prime Minister has said, वो तो करना है अभी, वो तो बहुत टाइम है यार उसके लिए बड़ा पैसा चाहिए आपको, वो है ही नहीं. At this point of time, you don't have. Maybe 5 years hence we should have, and if I'm sure my Prime Minister will do the needful, and maybe 10 years from now there'll be something like Google in India. Everyone talks of the AI scene. There's another report which I saw. How dependent we are on our AI story on outsiders. Everyone says Chat GPT chap that OpenAI is going to come and set up a facility here and hire people and all. But yeah, that's his bloody facility. It's not your facility. You're dependent on him, not independent of him. So those of us who think, if you think your economy will grow without US help today, I think we are living in a fool's world. If our equation with USA ruptures, your economy will tank. Okay, our economy will tank, unemployment will go up. What happens to USA? Forget it. That is a later day story. But हमारा क्या होगा? वो ना वो गब्बर सिंह का हालत, तेरा क्या होगा काले? We should never forget that. So you need that balance. You need balance. There are a lot of hotheads here in India who say, "Oh, USA is useless." Never. That famous thing. What Kissinger said. It's better to have USA as your friend and all that nonsense. I don't remember that. It's better not. You can't have it. It's better to have him as your enemy than as a friend and something like that. It's all nonsense. Day-to-day dealings, every second, third household wants to send his son or thing to USA. Why? To make money. There's a hard reality. My students, half of them are there. They keep talking. Hard reality. And through them, those chaps are coming and setting up businesses here and hiring. You could say Cyberabad or Delhi or Gurgaon and tech sector. They are not all tech sectors. Yeah, they are all catering for that lot. And of course, Europe and all. Later their story. Infosys, Wipro and all. Infosys and all. They're not doing any original high tech work. They're only doing back end work for American firms, European firms, and Japanese firms and things like that. We're not doing original stuff. So you have huge dependencies. You have vulnerabilities. Your government has not supported you in anything except giving locations, electricity, and all that. If people don't know, I remember very well in 90s, 93, 95, around that time, when these tech companies started coming up in Gurgaon and Bangalore and all that, people used to say, if these tech companies have to prosper, we hope that the government doesn't interfere. The growth of IT in India happened because the government didn't know what was happening. उनको पता ही नहीं था क्या हो रहा था, वो हो गया. By the time the government of India came to know that something is happening, we were big players already. And then they started regulating and all that. If they had known, they wouldn't have allowed it to happen. Okay. And don't give me this thing, oh, that was Congress government, today's BJP government. No. There are all kinds of governments in this 20-year period, 35-year period. Okay. Where there were Congress government, there were Khichdi government, there was also BJP government, and now. Okay. So, if we have progressed well, we need to have our senses right and do the right thing. And we don't have to bend to USA, we don't have to bend to China, nothing. And have a look at this article by Yu Fuxian. He's a Chinese chap. Right? He says China is America's immediate rival, while India is its long-term challenger. We are the world's challenger. My guess and my thing is, as another 5 years, you will see us handling China in a much more stronger capability. I've been saying 2030, if I'm still having this channel, we'll talk about it. Right? Okay. That's all I had to say today. I'm done. I hope you liked it. I'll take a few questions. Yeah. Yeah, this is important. Sir, not only 19 million jobs, there are millions direct and indirect jobs we will lose. Even in tourism, the USA is in the top 5 levels to India, and most of the tech IP, including semis. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we should be balanced in what we are doing. That's what I want to say. Okay. We don't have to bend to USA. We don't have to bend to China. We don't have to bend to anyone. But at the same time, we should start mending fences with everyone. Even mending fences with China is important. But can we do it or not is a different story. Okay. So let me take a few questions. I think there's a lot of questions. I don't know whether I'll be able to handle all, but at least one per head. So karega hi karega. Yeah, Olakun says, I've seen this comment from morning. Upset to see comments against you by ignorant people on Jaipur Dialogue. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. In Jaipur Dialogue, you have such people. Okay. Right. Is it accurate that Americans are rebuilding Noor Khan base? They might be. I don't know. I've not yet got the full details of it. Okay. Trump is unpredictable. He is saying Modi is his friend today, might declare. No, that will not happen. Don't worry. One thing America knows, they can't afford a war. Yeah, Akash, good evening. How are you? Arsenal, hello. Ladybird, Haru, good evening. Mohan Das, hi. Mohan Krishna, hi, how are you? Swami Ramanand, Pranam, thanks a lot. Aditya Badial, Jai Hind. Divakar, Jai Hind. Yeah, Trump is simply using his presidency to make personal gains. American public are the fools in all this. Possible. But let's leave it to them. Thanks a lot for your confirmation. Sound is clear. I hope everything you heard. Jeet, namaste. Thanks a lot. Your the cartoon speaks volumes, so thank you. Just for the sake of the cartoon, I would like you all who is attending to press the like button. I put a lot of effort into that. Always grateful. Thanks a lot. And Suleka Salgaonkar, thank you. And Vegasveer, Vigvisar, yeah. And Pradeep Patil also thanks a lot. Abhishek also thanks a lot for the confirmation. Vijay Raghavan, thanks a lot. And Vinayak also thanks a lot. John, hi, how are you? Okay. Gomati says, good evening, how are you? Jen Hackman, we are spending hours overanalyzing Trump's statement that he makes the off the cuff without deep thought. We are not analyzing. I don't analyze his statements too much. What I analyze are India-US relations. Okay. Saying deepest, darkest China doesn't give hope for a G2. I don't trust Trump. He can do the flip also. Trump is a deal maker. First, do a favor on your opponent, then negotiate. Yeah, he'll do all that. I agree with you. Yeah, Lofi Sobi, good morning. Subi, good evening. Trump saying special relationship and India. Yeah, they're not. I don't say that nothing to worry. There is everything to worry still. Nothing has happened. Just the first thing has happened. The deal is to go through normalization. Whatever this rupture which has happened is going to take a long time to sudro. So let's be very balanced in how we approach this whole thing. I still don't trust America. I more than not trusting America, the American government, I don't trust them still. Okay. Bill Maher is a rapid Zionist that hypocritically wants to control free speech of students. Yeah, that's okay. That's your opinion. Okay. But he speaks sense. In the same show, the guest mentioned he is glad Maher moved to the right, and Maher replied to the Democrats' vote went so left wing that he was on the center, now seen as right wing. Yeah, I heard that. Vellur Parthivel, thanks a lot for joining in. Thanks a lot again. Yeah, Trump is an absolute ego man. Will not see again. Don't get into the personalities involved. Personalities will deal, but we should get into the bigger picture. That's what I'm trying to do. I try to pull you chaps out of the thinking which is at the lower level. We need to start thinking high. Ken Rogoff, yeah, Kenneth Rogoff is good. Ex-chief economist of IMF says China is facing a lot of economic problems, but in 5 to 10 years it will recover from the current crisis. In India, are we prepared for this eventuality? I don't think it will recover. I have a thing because it will not recover for the simple reason it'll have a people's problem and the political problems are not going to resolve. As the people see, Ken Rogoff or Rajoff, whatever it is an economist. He doesn't comment on the politics and the geopolitics and the demography. Now, I think once the demography of the country changes, the politics also will change. So when the politics change, how this country will behave, we don't know. So, okay. So far, a lot of economists are talking of China based on a stable polity. If that becomes unstable, China will be in a tailspin. And I expect it to be in a tailspin sometime hence. Already it's a lot why China is slowing down is because of its polity. 50% is because of its political problems. Post-war, Putin might be looking to increase ties with Europe. He will. See, traditionally, Tsarist Russia, the important part of Russia was all oriented towards Europe, the European Russia. That's what Putin eventually wants. Yeah, sir, Alaska exercise with USA and now Trump statements are surely positive signs. Yeah, let's see how it goes. We should go through. We've dealt with them for now so many months. We should go through. And of course, our prime minister has replied back positively, so things will improve. That's what I feel. Sorry to say, you're wrong about what Trump is aiming. Trump is aiming for India to leave Quad and align with China. It's enlightened soul. You're not so enlightened. Only you have this way of thinking. Okay. If you're sorry, please go ahead. But I'm glad that you come up. I have no problem. But I can suggest to you that you change your mind thinking. IF is being let down on FOs or so forth. Let's see. These things are to be dealt with. No. Don't think that IF doesn't know. I mean, we shouldn't become opinion makers without understanding that people in the responsible places know what to do. This person from Middle East lives in India. Maybe. I don't know who he is. Mr. Modi hasn't used friend for Trump and instead says the president. Yes. He's also, yeah, I agree with you. Things are not going to happen in a hurry. Sir, do you really B3? What is B3? Put it clearly. I'm not very good at this new sign language. Okay. Lutnuk is a reality. Yeah, I agree. He's a yeah. Nimesh Shah, thanks a lot. Tactically, it makes sense for us to do a deal with China when it's at its weakest and stand up to America. I agree. But how much will you get out of them? That's the point. If we get, we should do. Yeah, Lutnik has been very condescending. That's okay. We'll deal with them. Okay. US tariff, US teaching Asia region identification of friend and foe. This war teaches us all country a lesson that we need to diversify. Yes. I think we've learned it and we're going. A new world order can certainly come if India, like in past, stays out of it. No. We cannot stay. You are connected. Now you are there. You might as well behave like a big power. We start thinking like a big power. Otherwise, there's no hope. Yeah, the Lutnik guy doesn't even realize that tariff is paid by America, not India. Yeah, I agree with you. Nat. Now, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. I think the US president is trying to buy time for some more stupid decision. Okay. The goals of the US can change. The biggest issue troubling the world is transnational drug syndicates. One of the problems. Your show with General Saxena was fantastic. Please call him again and more often. I will. What is your assessment of 9.43 IST landing? I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking of. Like tweet shows dejection. Yeah. Is Trump perhaps the victim of bad advice? Possible. He is not surrounded by bad people as by weak people. That's the thing. Okay. So let me see any new people, new ideas. General Saab, you're losing a lot of reputation by saying America is not our enemy. The Khalistan and other movements to break India is running from USA. I don't understand. I don't love USA. That's what I said. No, you must wake up and smell the coffee. Okay, don't get fixed on certain ideas. And I don't think I'm losing any reputation. Please understand. I'm just because Khalistan people are there, we knew this problem, and then we went in for the government went in for a strategic partnership. So your idea is not higher than that of the government, isn't it? So because some idiot Khalistanis are there, बैठ जाओ इधर. So this is that patila mentality. एक पतीला लगाओ सर पे और बैठ जाओ, कुछ मत करो. कोई पत्थर मारेगा पतीला के ऊपर, तेरे सर पे नहीं आएगा. पर पतीला के लिए पैसा तो चाहिए यार तेरे को. तेरे पास तो वो नहीं है. Yeah, China is real and exists. We cannot wish it away. We need to deal with it in a mature way, which I believe we are doing. I'm glad someone thinks that way, which is good. Okay. Google is investing in India. Microsoft is investing at faster pace as their business has to run. Yeah, the connectivity between India and US is huge, very deep. Communists admitting about nationalism is pride in itself. Yeah. Forget about Joy Bangla. I don't even talk to him. Thanks a lot, Somnath, about the cartoon. Right? Who made Joy Josula? Who made China darkest? Well, Trump and America. Seems US playing good cop, bad cop, testing waters with increasingly inflammatory statements and then pacifying. I expect more squeeze on India as this US administration seems to. It'll come, don't worry. See, you're looking at it from their point of view. Look at it from our point of view. You're not budged. You're not budged. The Prime Minister has just given one tweet, no? That's it. So be patient. This is a game, Okay. Right. Yeah. Such erratic behavior of Trump makes a case existence for deep state that transcends democratic divide, allowing continuation of global policy of US. Yeah, I agree with you there. You don't have a choice. And, US president is allowed any decision domestically, but any foreign policy related divergence will not be allowed. Look, that's something which is there for everyone. Okay. And the deep states are the institutions of the country. I'll just give you a view. At one point of time, our government wanted to vacate the Siachen glacier. The army didn't agree. Okay. And we gave our reasons. It's not that we said, no, we'll not go there. We gave our reasons. I still remember I was a colonel those days. Mr. Manmohan Singh came to Siachen. We briefed him and explained to him the whole story. Don't think Siachen is one little hillock. It's maybe 100 plus kilometers. So he came, spent a few hours, and went back and convinced that we shouldn't vacate Siachen. After that, we have not vacated Siachen. So again, the manifestation of the deep state of any country comes from its institutions. So don't think we don't have a deep state. Only America has a deep state. The institutions are the deep state of a nation. US are not fair weather friends with India. We are crazy about each other. We all work things out together. Gotta love that drama though. Yeah, I agree with you, Mary. To a large extent, yes. You represent a social, point of view. It's just part of the US-Indian fabric, which you cannot ignore. Yeah, shall India be dependent on USA for jet engines, or should we now focus on our range? Yeah, we should focus, but it will take you another 10 years. Don't worry. Yeah, thanks a lot, Devrajan, for your kind words. Yeah, yeah. If we are able to resolve our differences with USA, trust and respect, why can't we work it out with China? Try it. Try it. Try it with China. I've dealt with them. You just cannot trust them. If you can't trust USA, you just cannot trust Chinese. Out of question. We shouldn't live in fool's world. Fool's world nahi hona chahiye. Are we swimming with the sharks when they look at us as prey? No, I don't think so. That season has gone, except for some idiots. What Laura Loomis doesn't know is that India has hardly any call center. I agree with you. I'm not saying no. She's a lot of American people, opinion makers, don't know anything about the reality. But well, they'll talk. Yeah. As one of the strategic thinker and veteran, no one can accuse you of being pro-US or any other country except India. If someone thinks so, then I will be sorry for. Well, thanks a lot, Shriman. And it's the way, it's the way people are made. They'll come out with some ideas. It's okay. So be it. Thank you for working hard to bring such good content and making people understand the ABCD of geopolitics. Yeah, that's my job there. The technology for manufacturing of API have gone from India to China because of high volume of production, low cost. Yeah, I am aware of this. This happened 25 years back. And that's one of the mistakes we made. One of the great strategic mistakes we made. Yeah. Relation between two countries is not like a boy meets a girl. It's cooperation, bond strengthened by understanding each other's interests. It's a long-term thing. It's not going to happen overnight. Yeah, it is Biden government and not Trump's first hand. Yeah, that's okay. I'm sorry. That's slip of the thing. Thanks for correction. Thanks a lot for your greeting. Good evening to you also. And yeah, India concur with General Shankar. India must not cut off ties within USA, but forge closer ties. At the end of the day, USA is a democracy and China is a communist ruled country. There's no doubt about it. DT is the last emperor, first class. Chalne do. Yeah, there is a take that relationship went awry because of foreign policy is too personalized. I don't think so. Not in this case. Not in this case. Thanks for your great analysis based on our understanding and experience. How long this drama would last before USA comes to terms? I think it'll last another 5-6 months. Not going to be easy. You might come to a deal, but terms won't be good. Ranbir, Jai Hind. Sai Capian, good evening, sir, from Brisbane. Long time. I hope you're in good health. Yeah, I am in good health. Don't you see my mustaches? They are up. Indians going to be targeted by Trump administration? I don't think so. Seems you're very happy with the latest India-US developments. I work in one of the so-called GCC that is mentioned. Why Indian companies mostly end up in the service sector? Well, that's our DNA. How do you change it? I mean, we need to, one of the things is that all our corporates are banyas. I've dealt with them. I've been on the board of a few of these big corporates. They're banyas. They don't invest. They don't take risk. उनको profit चाहिए. वो बनिया कैसे करेगा यार ये? That's the biggest problem. Our biggest problem are our business people. Oh, ever since I started watching yours, I became a big fan of you and your patriotism. Thanks a lot, Madhusudan. What are the immediate steps to make cool? We have to just let the rhetoric die down first. And the trade deal, you get to a trade deal, things will start changing. Can developing land-based pipelines and train tracks across to Europe possible? Not possible. Not possible. Physically not possible. Why are armed forces engaging in turf wars? I don't think we should talk of it today. Yeah. Thanks for your great analysis. How long this drama I have explained to you. We are grateful for such analysis, everyone. Yeah, just spread this across. Okay. Is there anything great? Yeah. Casual casteism is not expected from. I don't understand what you're talking also. I don't even know. Okay. Fine. Thanks a lot for joining in. I hope you liked it. Again, if you like it, press the like button and subscribe to Ghana Shot. I've enjoyed because as I read, I keep picking it up and storing it for the next thing. Tomorrow morning, we're going to talk about IT, war, India, US trades and all with Sandeep Punithan in the morning. Join us at 9. Till then, have a great day. Jai Hind and good evening to all of you.